Hi, good morning. It's Rosie at RoseByNameCo. I've come to you today with a new journal share. It is a journal that I just completed as a custom order for a client, and well, it is done and ready to be shipped. It is a Victorian style journal. It has, well, quite a few pages in here. So it is in size. It is about a 6 inch by, let me see, about actually 9.5 inches long. So it is a large journal. It was requested to have a story in it. So it does have a story about Marlene and Luke. Kind of a romantic story, I suppose. It is a rags to riches story. She is a poor girl living in a log cabin in the woods. And Luke is a prince, of course, living in a castle with his parents and his family. And so he's rich and she's poor, and they will meet and live happily ever after. So anyhow, that's how we usually imagine stories to go. So this one is called King's Cross. And here I do have this beautiful clear like crystal beads here in the cross. And on top of multiple ribbons, there's black here, white, and this beautiful, we'll call it royal blue. And the fabric itself is this beautiful upholstery fabric that is kind of like maybe flowers or some kind of leafy design on it. It was just perfect, I thought, because it had this beautiful blue in it as well as green and red and sort of Victorian colors. So the spine is, well, it is a large spine also. So the spine is about 2.5 initially inside here before those ridges that we put in, but almost like 3 inches altogether. And on this side, I do have an actual initial for M for Marlene. And so this is her journal that she's been keeping about her life and so on. In the tassel, I do have the different colors ribbons and some strings and so on. And of course the royal blue that matches the middle here. And then there are some beads inside. So here's some of these colors, the gold and so on. And then this beautiful, beautiful peachy color here to, you know, again, go against this blue, but it just matches perfectly. And a little bit of black and gold here as well. So that's the tassel on this. And then on the top, I do have some of the things that I like on the top as well. I try not to go too much. And then sewing tails here and more ribbon and things on the bottom. So it is like chock full of different things. And of course some charms on this side as well. And so this is the closure, this silky ribbon here. And just a little bit more here of the different charms and beads and so on. So let's check this out inside and hopefully go slow enough so we can see every detail. There's a lot of details in the journal, and let's see what happens. Okay, so there are 3 signatures in the journal, and we're going to start, of course, at the beginning. And here I made a pocket right away, and inside the pocket is a tag, rather large tag. I made 3 of these for each signature, so you'll see one in each signature. It is the Daly family at their log cabin in the happier days. Of course, a tragedy happens, and that I will explain. And I just wanted to make this one a little bit more rustic. This is almost like train tracks going through the fields. And so there is Marlene, and then her brother and sister, they're younger, and her parents here. That's Eilish, I hope I'm saying it right, and Fergus Daly. They're from originally from Ireland, living in England now. And probably their ancestors moved to England a long time ago. So this story takes place in 1870 during the, of course, Queen Victoria era. So over here, this is Marlene, and I just wanted to make it a little bit more real as far as the story goes. And that's Marlene, and what she normally does to get by is pick wildflowers in the fields behind her cabin and sell at the London market. So she's a flower seller, and you have a little bit of fabric on the top. So every journal, a tag or card is backed with coffee dyed paper, tea dyed, or some sort of eco dyed paper. So over here, I also give you a map of England at the time and London, and I did put in King's Cross here because of course it's non-existent, it's fictional, and it's you know, within walking distance, but a good distance to London. And she walks on the weekends to sell the flowers, and during the week she works on them to make the bouquets and so on. Now here, of course, I have texture all over this journal. I like texture, and I like putting in a lot of different fibers, and this is stamping here, my label that I make by sewing. And then over here, if you can see, the butterflies have a little bit texture on here as well, just to make him a little bit more realistic and so on. Like I said, I just enjoy that, so hopefully you see the detail. Let me just show you a little bit more closer. Okay, so this is Marlene. We are going to start off with her, and she lives at a tiny village in the woods called King's Cross. So the next page here, I have a little bit more of the different fabrics, because I wanted to show the tattered look, because this is where Marlene lives, at the cabin, and you know, things are not perfect. It's a little old cabin that's been around for many years, and not being able to keep it up and so on. Now this is Marlene and her siblings, Ivy and Jacob, and she's in charge of them now, because unfortunately their parents both passed away from consumption. She was 14 years old and the kids were younger, and she was left to look after her siblings. So I do have pieces of the story and so on throughout the book, which are Marlene's own notes, and then at the very end I have the whole story. So just a little bits and pieces around of many detailed collaging and so on. So this one is Marlene, and she often goes barefoot. She does her knitting as she walks, because she doesn't want to waste any time. She tries to sell her goods at the market as much as she can to make some money for some food staples that they can get at home, other than maybe eggs, or maybe she has some chickens and so on. And for coal in the winter time, for their coal stove, so they can boil water and keep warm. So these are some of the details that you can see throughout the book. And then this one is a little bit of belly band as well. You can put something in it, maybe a secret note of some sort. And then this is a little bit of that metallic paint, where I've first of all printed out the words that I typed, and then put some leaf impressions on there as well. And here we have a little bit of a notebook. It does have a couple of pages here to write on. Also eco-dyed as well, with these beautiful pinkish colors and so on. And underneath is sunflower, because she goes off and into the fields. Those are that's one of the flowers that she may be picking and putting making into a bouquet, and then taking on the weekend to the market to sell. And then I did stamping here as well, and over here. And then here she is. She's picking wild apples to make a pie for her siblings and herself. And a little bit of more writing space. A little bit of stamping over here of ferns. And this is a piece of the fabric that she may have had as a curtain on the one window they had on the cabin. And here's a little bit about our log cabin. Our little log cabin is far in the woods. This is an actual vintage book page, and I happened to find this and I thought it was perfect. So a little bit more there to write on your own thoughts and a little bit more about their log cabin here. So, and these are the woods that she's talking about, where there might be a tiny little cabin inside there. So that's where she lives, in the hills, in the woods, in England, in the outskirts of London, and so on, in the country. So here's a little bit of a tuck spot here with a little label on it, and a little bit collaging some flowers on top. And here is a label, and as well the actual cabin that she lives in. And these are some of the neighbors and some of the work they might be doing, plowing and making more little cabins and so on. So this is also from the same book that says Our Little Cabin. So I love the trees here, very thick and lush. And so she loves the woods. She loves the fields and so on. She does go out and maybe she will have some samples, take some samples of leaves or a bug or something. And just maybe her mother was teaching her what is what and what is okay to eat and what kind of berries and so on she should be picking. So she knows all this. She's a very smart girl. She learned a lot from her mother and father before they unfortunately passed away, and now she's looking after her own siblings in a very good way. So a little bit more of the texture here. And there's Marlene. She's walking, also knitting through the woods. A little bit of the story and some stamping. And over here are the woods as well. In the morning when the sun shines through, it's just beautiful. And then some design paper, a little bit of a cardstock. Over here is something that she dreams about, maybe one day to be having a nice house and a big garden, and to be dressed in some beautiful clothes instead of tattered clothes. Of course, that's a faraway dream that she feels will never happen, but she's kept this just to remind herself that there is better life out there other than, you know, walking around barefoot and being hungry, going to bed hungry and so on. A little bit more of the story. And this beautiful leaf impression right here. And I made a notebook on this one. And so over here, these are her parents when they were living at the cabin, and maybe her grandparents. This is a authentic book page. And then I made a tiny notebook here. This is Marlene and Ivy. She's learning to stitch over here. And a little bit of pages for writing, and a little bit of the log cabin over here. This is an actual book page, and then a little bit of a tuck spot there. A bit more pages, and at the end, just a little vintage card. I did stamp this and put on a vintage stamp on it, but this is actual a vintage envelope and a little shower gift. This is maybe something her mother kept, one of the maybe most fancy things that she's owned or something. This little sparkly shower gift for you. So I put that in here. And so this is the grandparents with the kids when they were little. And they're, of course, passed away also. And so we come to the middle of the first signature. And here, first of all, we have a little owl charm. You know, those would be her friends, the birds and the bees and so on. And in the middle, I do have a little bead string here. And also in the middles is printed on vellum paper, and it is my own digital collage that I made in Photoshop. So this one says King's Cross and Marlene over here. So it's about her life, you know, on the farm or in the woods, in the log cabin, the flowers that she picks, and maybe uses some note paper and so on. So very, very pretty, different things going on here, if you can see. And a little bit of postage stamps there as well. So these are the middles. Each middle will have a vellum display like this. So on this one and the next pocket, I have a little bit of it's a foreign book page. I love the writing here. And what it might have been like where she lived in the little village of King's Cross. You know, you have your kitties and your rooster and mice in the streets and so on. Of course, it's, very poor and back in the Victorian days. Now this one opens up a little bit here. It's attached. First of all, there's this beautiful collaging going on here. And then you open it up and you have some more space to write on. And inside is like a belly band, and there's a leaf here you can attach somewhere else. And then over here is a pocket with flowers and birds, and you can take that and attach it somewhere else, wherever you might like to have it. And then a little bit more collaging here, and then a little envelope here with a little bit of flower. This is an authentic book page and a little bit of a writing card. And it's just a little flip out here. And I just like to clip it. You don't necessarily have to clip it. And then more collaging here. And a little bit more of the story and stamping. And over here is an authentic postcard. And it does have some writing on the back, but you do have some space also to journal on it. And this is a rustic scene, which is why I picked it. It is in Summerside, PEI, it says, which is Canada. However, this is the exact same kind of woods that she might have been living in. And a little bit of a bridge here. Maybe that's a picture of her father that she has kept, where he's looking into the creek. And a little bit more of beautiful, beautiful woods as the light comes through. I just love looking at things like this. And then over here is a pocket and a little bit stamping. And there is Marlene with an umbrella. Of course, it's an old tattered umbrella, but sometimes when she's walking, she does try to use it. Now, she's, of course, always concerned about her siblings. She, did not have the greatest teenagehood anyways, because she had a lot of responsibility. Here, this is a fabric butterfly, and so she's kept that maybe from her mother's work or something. And then also some strands that she has kept. And a little bit of a label here. So here's her mother, and that's when she was younger, and she had this picture. She loves this picture, of course. And over here she is, Marlene with her mother. This is an authentic photograph. So she keeps this together, all the mementos that she could of her parents. A bit more of the story there. And collaging over here and there. And there's Marlene. She also, when she tries whatever she can, she's a woman of many trades. So she also does some tea leaf reading, wherever she can to get some money to buy food for her. A little more of that fabric from the curtains in the log cabin. A little bit of the berry pie that she might have made, stamping. And then another little notebook here. Actually, a larger notebook because there are larger pages. This is a fabric butterfly here. Some stamping. And I put King's Cross on the bottom here. A little bit more of the story and her notes. And then here she's also kept a beautiful picture of a mother that she found, where she's wearing what is her, maybe Sunday best, or she actually had shoes. Normally they go barefoot, but they keep their shoes maybe for Sunday church or something like that. And this is an authentic postcard. It does have writing on the back. This is Makarska. Very beautiful. Makarska is in Croatia. So I did buy that in Croatia. A box full of these beautiful postcards. And this is just something I printed. Her mother's letters. Something that maybe some ledger bills that she had to pay that she kept track of. So she kept her mother's handwriting example. Now here, this one has something about Russian olive trees. So you might want to read that. It's a little bit of a little ditty about Russian olive trees and what it means, or that I found here at the house, actually. So that's from a long time ago. So here's more detail on fabric collaging. And so here we are completing the first signature. This is going to be a long video. This is just the first signature. And there's Marlene. I found this beautiful image where she's picking the flowers in a meadow, where she will then, you know, arrange those flowers in bouquets and then sell them at the London market. And this is the London market where she might come to and sell her flowers to people at the market, of course, who can afford it and who are a lot richer than she is. And then here's some more of the little tiny collages of texture here. And then we're going to start with Luke. So, Luke Benson. This is the handsome fella, Luke Benson. He tries to be a painter, but he does have a lot of princely duties that he must do to that he's learning from his father. Here's a little bit of a beautiful gold and black ribbon as a tab here. So Luke Benson, he lives in London. Of course, London is, you know, a lot darker than King Cross, is more light and sunny and green and beautiful. And London is beautiful in its own way, but it's darker and rainy more often, and you know, many people, crowded, and so on. So this is London with the coach wagon, horse and wagon, or coach, whatever you might call it. Transportation going through the streets, and the horses going cluck, cluck, cluck. You can hear the clippity-cluck of the horses' hooves on the stone streets. So it's a lot different in London. These are some of the fabric samples that you might see more in London. A little bit more fancy ribbon and silk and cotton and so on. Over here as well. So this is all collaged here. And then in the back is this beautiful cardstock with the different furniture that you might see in London, and more with the rich people. And so this is a fabric sample from their house, from their castle, but their home, the Benson home. Of course, a lot more fancy silk and damask and so on. And but they do also collect some old papers because many books and notebooks and letters and so on have been in their family for a long time. So they have some old paper, and Luke likes to hold on to some of these older papers. And this is looks like a bit of well, it says plated goods. So some of the kitchenware. This is from the Victorian household goods catalog, an authentic page. So a little bit of different items that you can look at here: silversmiths, trademark, and so on. And a little bit more of the story and stamping, and more of this beautiful light blue fabric. And then this is his mom and dad, and they are Robert and Ophelia, and they like to go walking outside as much as they can, and then on their cobblestone streets, and with the wagons in the back and so on. So they're taking a I like his top hat. They're taking a stroll, and this is where they live. This is the castle. It's just on the outskirts of London, so it does have a beautiful a patch of greenery around it. It is beautiful to live in, but it is still very close to London, and the city and rules there are strict, and you can't just go, you know, running around like you might go in at King's Cross in the fields and so on, because all the gardens are very manicured and so on, and watched. So over here is a little bit inside of the castle. This is an authentic photograph, and that I showed you in another video where I had a whole series of them. So this one is of their music room, where there's a harp and beautiful paintings and chandeliers, and it looks like maybe a stand-up piano and so on. So that's a very beautiful black and white photograph of a music room. And over here on this page where it says London, also a little bit more of the fabric samples with the different fabrics here. And then ribbon, and over here with a button, more ribbon. And I have this beautiful purple ribbon bit here that I put over this picture of hats. This is authentic from a book where the women, of course, wore these very intricate hats with feathers and flowers and so on, jewels on top of them. And so this is something that you might see more in the within the rich. Of course, Marlene wouldn't be wearing that, at least not yet. So here is a little bit of beads, hanging charm here, and then a little bit more of the label. I put this in those black photograph corners, and then I stamped some Victorian looking corners here, and more stamping here, bit of the story. And here's the second of the large tags, and it's got the blue from cabbage dye here to match the blues. So I have more blues in this one, in the signature. So this one has a bit of gold and different fabrics and ribbons, and as you can see, and it has another one of these photographs, the real photograph. This is the library, of course, beautiful, lots of books, and Marlene likes to read. Of course, she would love something like this. And a little bit of looks like tables and chairs inside here where you might sit down and read your book, and this beautiful intricate ceiling. So everything is very posh, everything is very custom made and so on, according to Ophelia's instructions for this. And of course the castle has been there a lot longer than Ophelia, but she decorated things and redecorated from the old style that they had before. So these are the Bensons, and there's Ophelia and Robert. They're dressed for a night out, a bit more stamping. And that's the castle at night, and with the beautiful trees, and maybe that's Luke looking on or watching, or and so the lights inside as well. And then over here we have a little bit of this. I printed from the New York Public Library, and is just an old, I like the statues here, so just something about statues. It does talk about 1882. We are in 1870, so this is pretty close. And this is an actual Canadian banknote with some stamps on it as well. Very intricate detail on that. So I included that because, well, it just looks so good in here. And just to signify that, you know, the Bensons have money, and the difference between the poor and the rich, and the have and have nots, and so on. That's what this book is about. So this is Ophelia in her fine black dress that she likes to wear sometimes, or she has some insecurities about that. So she has portraits taken, but not too much. So this is a rare portrait of her. And here's a pocket, and with this beautiful black ribbon where these little bits just fall over and drape over other ribbon. Now inside here I have an actual card, and this is a card of, well, it's the envelope actually has this card on the back of it printed, and then in the front is a couple doing a tango or something. And this is from Renoir, actual the painting made into a greeting cards. So inside here too you can see the party, and very, very beautiful as far as, you know, the luncheon of the boating party, 1881. So this is what the rich people might be doing. They're going on cruises, they're going on a boat party and so on. So that's just to show more of what the Bensons are doing. And sorry, I think this goes in this pocket. And then over here in the middle of the second signature, we also have the little beaded string with a little bit darker beads for Luke. And then this is Luke's life in digital collage as a child there, and as he's grown into a young man and so on. There he is with his brother Thomas on the bottom next to the castle. And then Luke over here. And this is more what he's used to, this kind of table with lots and lots of food and an actual menu that he can choose from in his own home. And then, you know, the gold plated teacups and so on. So that's his life at the castle. And then over here, we have an authentic envelope from, well, long ago. I'm not sure. It's a little bit blurry here, so I can't quite read it, but I know it's quite old. It was with those postcards in the box as well. And a little notebook here with a bit of ribbon. So you can write a letter and mail it in this envelope. Pretend anyways. The Tower Bridge of London, of course. That's a journaling card. And then in this pocket, a little bit of stamping and so on. I have this very old page from a very old book where first of all, it's more like a linen paper, and then you can see the imprint as if somebody has actually typed this out, but it's a whole book of these, and you can even see the imprint from the other side or previous side on this side as well. And it's just nice to look at. It's almost, I don't know if it's Italian or it's probably in Latin, some kind of Latin writing. So, and then this one I have because this is something that maybe Ophelia might be wearing because she's so conservative and has insecurities. Now this is it's $9.98 for this coat that has a military cape and a look of cast iron virtue. Well, that's something I guess that was popular in the Victorian times. And that's something Ophelia would be wearing for sure. And then some pointy shoes. I mean, what would Victorian times be without the pointy shoes? The little witch shoes. Anyways, so that's authentic. Both of those. Let me see if we can get back in here. Okay. And then here's London again. Very, very moody, very dark and so on. And a top hat and some stamping. A little bit more of the story and a little bit of the paper ruffle. And then here are the Bensons. So these are the Bensons when they were young, when they first met. They were met at school. And that's Ophelia and that's Robert. They're very, very cute couple from way back when. And then this is them now. They're older, of course. They had 2 boys. They've grown up and so on. This is something that Ophelia might be wearing now. And that's on both of those cards you can write in the back. And both of these are also authentic from a book. And this is from the box of cards that I showed you in another video. And a little bit of stamping there. And then over here, also authentic, something about wigs. If you would prefer a different color hair one day, this is for men. So about wigs on this one, and a little bit of collaging over here. So just let me show you a little bit more of that detail there. And then this is a tuck spot, and this beautiful blue, royal blue, might be a wallpaper at the castle, and this beautiful stamping here. And then a little flower. On occasion, they do like a spot of a lighter color. And so over here, this might be from the couch or sofa chair, some flowery design on the fabric. And then, so this is Luke again, a little bit, the same image, but a little bit smaller. And then this is Marlene selling flowers at the London market on the corner. She loves her flowers and she handles them very carefully. And she's very, she has pride in what she does. This paper here is more like math or something because Luke also, he's very educated and he knows about science, about math, and he is into that kind of thing besides the painting and of course what he does for his father, which is do a lot of royal duties. And then this is the other side of the Victorian household goods catalog. And then this is also authentic from a furniture book where there might be, it's a pull-out, there might be this kind of chairs, around the castle. And this lounge chair here. And I love these chairs. Very, very, very intricate. And then a little bit more of the fabric. Another fabric sample from around the castle. And then some of their papers. can flip that, and this is a little notebook for just a little bit more journaling space, because I did include a lot of items in this, and I covered up a lot of journaling space, so I try to give you space in a different way. So this is the end of the second signature. Now this is where Marlene and Luke have met at the market. He came in on a coach, and the horse spooked and almost tipped the coach over, and Marlene instinctively just went over to the horse and whispered in his ear to calm him down. She's a bit of a horse whisperer, because they had horses, well, they had one horse at the farm that helped them out while her father was alive, and he taught her about horses, how to keep them helping around the farm and so on. So she helped the horse calm down, and then Luke came out and he wanted to thank her, because the coach almost toppled over, could have, injured him or killed him, and he wanted to return the favor. He asked her name, but she was so excited after he introduced himself as Prince Luke Benson that she couldn't say a word. She was just beside herself, and she ran off because she didn't know how to speak to any royal person or anybody other than in her education level, which was minimal. So she ran off. However, he did track her down, and he did ask for a date. He wanted to take her to a restaurant for dinner, and he knew that she didn't have any clothes to wear. Of course, he can tell because he's probably seen her before. She walks barefoot and so on, wearing tattered clothes. He brought her a beautiful gown and shoes. And that's when I'm going to make me cry. And so he took her out to dinner. She accepted finally. She didn't accept right away, but she did accept, because she still had pride in taking that from him. But in the end, it was one of her dreams to wear something like that. So she did go. And then he courted her for a little while, and then proposed to her. So there they are. This is the beautiful dress that he got her. And he did propose to her, and this is this is authentic. This is like a, not a wedding invitation per se, but a marriage creed. Maybe what was passed down to him from his mother and from his grandmother and so on. Sophia does have some feeling in her, even though she's usually very cold and everything. But she handed this down to her son, and he gave it to his future wife-to-be. And my voice is really tight because I'm gonna cry. Okay, and over here is just a little bit of my wedding gift. So somebody has brought them a gift during the wedding, and gave them a little card with it. So now they're not married here yet. They're going to be married in the new year. And they will be married. There is a date scheduled on Sunday, April 24th, 1872. That's when they will be married. In the meantime, there is work for Marlene to do. Okay, so over here is a gathering the Bensons might have had, when they're on their terrace or in town or somewhere, somebody else's as a guest. This is a type of gowns they might be wearing. The gentlemen in their top hats and their finest suits and so on. This is a little bit of a luncheon, I guess, on the terrace with the Bensons. And then they often go on a boat cruise or walking down the pier and so on. This is an authentic card, and this is a printed journaling card, and there's a bit of the story here. And some beautiful sewing over here, the stitching. I don't know if you can see it over here. And this beautiful cardstock with the shimmery roses and a bit of silk over here. And then, so now Marlene has moved into the castle. Luke has Ivy and Jacob, her family, her siblings. He had them all moved into the castle. And they've closed down the cabin, and she didn't have a lot to move, obviously. A lot had to be provided for them when they moved in, and Luke spared no expense. He made sure that they had everything they needed. So over here is just some samples, maybe that Marlene had to, maybe make up her bedspread and wallpaper or so on her room. So he gave her samples to choose from, and she's thinking here, of course, oh my goodness, is this a dream come true? Of course it is. Her Prince Charming has arrived. She's always dreamed of a Prince Charming. And these are the statues that might be around the castle. And this is also from the Victorian household goods. And here's Marlene. She's wearing her first gown. And, of course, she's learning how to walk in it because it's like yards and yards of fabric that she's not used to. She's tripping. She's not being very elegant right now. And this is one of those wreaths, beautiful wreaths my mom makes. So in the purple color, so a lot of purple, blues, and so on in the Victorian times. And then, so there are many things that she had to learn. She did know about horses a little bit, but she had to learn how to ride a horse with her gown. So many lessons for Marlene. And this is Ivy, of course. Now she's not barefoot anymore. She's not hungry. And they're living a good life. Marlene is learning about maybe having a stamp collection. And this stamp here from Croatia also has a little bit of a castle. I don't know if you can see it. And someone from 1800s there. So her siblings are well taken care of now. They have nannies as well. And because she's busy learning a lot of tasks that she will need to do as a princess. And here's a little bit more paper. And a little bit of a paper and fabric ruffle on the top. One of those snippets that we did in another video. And so lots of ribbon here and fabric on the sides. And over here, she's, of course, she has to learn how to dance now. Even she has to learn when to wear a gown, what kind of gown for different purpose or different occasions. So she always has to be choosing the fabrics. And here's a little bit more samples of different fabrics that she might be going through. And she's like, my goodness, she didn't know it's so much work to look good and have a beautiful gown. And of course they made for her, but they do give her the choice as far as what color she wants or what fabrics to choose. And then here she's in another beautiful gown, and she's having music lessons, learning how to play the harp, which is in the music room that I showed you. And so she's a busy lady, learning all the high society tasks and hobbies and so on that she can be occupied with. So Ophelia doesn't like, wandering minds. She likes you to be on a task at all times. And here's a little bit of embossing on this one, and a little bit of paper label. And then here's London again, just the crowds and, going to the market maybe. And this one here too is an original bookmark, Pickwick Books. It's not too vintage, but I just like this a little image that they had with the coachman. That is the Benson's coachman. He takes Luke and Thomas around town and so on. And he was there that day too, on July 6th when Marlene and Luke met. Now, this is going into 1872. Now, on April 24th, 1872, Luke and I were married in the grandest of weddings I could ever imagine. So, of course, I mean, it's even beyond what she could imagine. The beautiful, beautiful wedding they had. They're dancing right over here in her beautiful white gown. Everybody has beautiful ball gowns. And so they did have a wedding. Finally, after all the lessons and preparations by Ophelia of her and her siblings, she was able to be introduced into the public and through this wedding. So here they are now. She's, of course, not barefoot, again, like I said. And so Luke and Marlene sitting on a porch or somewhere in the back where they do see some greenery. But she's always very busy. She's not able to enjoy it fully. So, you know, there are pros and cons to being a royal. Of course, you don't have a lot of free time to do your own thing. This is just a card or some sort of booklet that it was. It's authentic. And inside, I thought, well, this looked beautiful. Possibly this is inside the castle. Entrance where you walk in, this beautiful marble flooring and intricate work on here. So that goes in this pocket here. So here we are in the middle of the third signature, and here's a little another bauble that I made. And here they are now together, Luke and Marlene, and they've had a baby, and they named her Sophia, Eilish after her mother. And they live in London. I just want to show here the difference now. London and King's Cross, which is all fields and meadow and forests and very open spaces. And here, of course, they're more proper in the London castle and so on. And let me see what's in this pocket. So, but there is something going on with Marlene. This is maybe 3 years later. Maybe Sophia is 3 years old here. She's a little bit older. And Marlene is starting to long for her previous life. So even though you're poor, but you have your family together, she had her parents, and it was all that she knew. It was good, even though she knew that sometimes she was hungry and so on, but other things were good. They were still a family together, and this is maybe a pond or somewhere that she went to at King's Cross, and she's starting to pine to go back to King's Cross. And she hasn't told Luke yet, but she found something in one of the books in the library at the castle, and something a lot more simpler that she would like to live in. So this is looks like maybe a kitchen or a living room. Just a beautiful picture I found on New York Public Library that I printed. And she's longing for this simpler life again, because she's very busy in London, and you know, there's nannies looking after kids, and her child, and her siblings are off in boarding school, and everything is kind of different. So different that she's overwhelmed and is looking forward to or wanting to go back to King's Cross. Now, this is just something about London's past that I found. It's a large page, but it has some more images on the inside about old London and so on. So I included this. It is from a large book that I have. I don't know if it's some kind of a Vogue book or what it said, but it has a lot of things about the past, so I used some of those pages in here. And then here's Ophelia and Robert there, of course, at another luncheon. And here's a little bit more embossing. And this is just a Victorian palette of colors that Marlene had to choose many different things from. And here's a large tag, beautiful in the back here, and with some flowers, and inside maybe a little bit more of the palette or fabrics that she had to choose from, maybe make some notes about it. And this is one of the snippet circle rows that we made in another video also. And here's a little bit of a stamp out on the sea, and just in the beautiful blue colors that I use mostly in this signature. Now, here's a key. So let me just show you first of all this beautiful cutout here, and then the roses and the hand, of course, Victorian. And over here is the christening of baby Sophia. Everybody's very beautiful, very relaxed, it looks like. The priest, of course, comes to the castle, and They had a christening. So that was about 3 years ago, soon after they had Sophia. And after they were married, she came 9 months to the day almost, being born, the first grandchild in the family. And Luke's brother Thomas, he's envious, of course. There's always a little bit sibling rivalry going on because Luke is the firstborn and the father seems to favor him, teaches him more, and where Thomas would like to actually be the king later, but Luke is the first in line to be king. So there's always that little bit of being envious and jealousy between Luke and Thomas. So here's Luke and Marlene. They're at one of the beautiful rooms at the castle with their pets and Sophia. But she has now entrusted Luke to tell him her feelings, that she really, really longs to go back to King's Cross. She doesn't want to just cut it out of her life forever. And he understood everything she was saying. He's a very kind-hearted man. And he said he would build her a house. So he did build her a house according to how she wanted it, how it shows you that one picture. And this is the key to the new summer home in King's Cross. And over here, this beautiful fabric and a pocket that holds that house. So the key is to this house. It's sort of in the style of a log cabin, but it's much larger. It's made of brick, of course, and it has a protective stone gate around it. But it's still on the pond and within all the woods. It's almost next door to the old cabin, which they will keep on the property. Of course, now Marlene is a lot happier. A little bit more of the statues at the castle. And then here's a bit of a notebook and more writing space in the back. Just a couple more pages to write on, because like I said, the journal is so busy. And then the Benson family, they are now the Benson family. They split their time between the castle, and she's showing him about, where she goes into the meadows and the fields and picks her flowers. She doesn't need to, of course. Now she doesn't need to pick the flowers to sell them, but she picks them for her house and brings them back to the castle and so on, so for themselves. And he's very happy just to join her and help her. And so over here at the end, let me show you this beautiful wreath here, first of all, from my mom. And I put a button on it just to brighten things up a little bit with a lot of brown and blues and so on in a Victorian journal. So here's the last large journaling tag with more nature themed at King's Cross, where her heart is and so on. So here's the story that I wrote. It is, let me see, I don't know, 3 pages, I guess, of the story, or maybe even 4. No, 3 pages, yeah, at the end over here. So the story that I told you about, I did try to write it in. It's not perfect, but a little bit of something for the owner of this journal to read. And then this makes me cry for sure. So this is another one of the Renoir. This is the Envelope 4. It's the same as the other one, but it's a different picture in this one. Renoir paintings, a picture of Marlene and Luke. Of course, they love each other. I just love the way he's looking at her here, just so lovingly, of course. He's so in love with her, he would do anything for her. And of course, she knows that she's safe in his arms. So this is the story of Marlene and Luke Benson. They lived happily ever after, splitting their time between the castle in London and summer house in King's Cross. They have their daughter Sophia. They're probably going to have more children. Her siblings are growing up in a lap of luxury, and everybody's happy. So it is a large journal. I'm going to be trying to package this up into a nice box and then sending it off I did take many pictures, and now I have video to remember it by. Let me tell you a little bit about King's Cross. The name of the place, how that came to be, was it was named after King William, who reigned before Queen Elizabeth. And his parents were passing by. His mother was pregnant and went into labor, and they were traveling in a coach, and that's where she had the baby, in this area by the pond, and then named that King's Cross. So I appreciate you coming by, checking out this new journal. And I know it's going to be, I think, a long video, but hopefully you can get through it and the story. And come back again. I'll be working on more journals. I have a couple more journals coming up. And have a great day. Take care. Rosie from RoseByNameCo. Bye-bye.